today's spooky spot, we're going to be having a look at the 20th anniversary Monster Squad. The Monster Squad! I remember when I was actually growing up, and at least in Canada, we used to get something called First Choice. First Choice was a pay-per-view site. This was long before we got Viewer's Choice and we got the, 12 channels or whatever we get now for purchase for movies and stuff like that. But back in the day, growing up, you pretty much got First Choice and I believe Family Channel were the two channels, the two big channels. Every once in a while, we would get a free weekend, a free movie weekend. The idea is that they would show not the more recent movies, but they would show the older movies, and we're talking like 5, 6 years old, sometimes, a couple years old, but they would show those, and then I guess the idea is if you were happy with it, you'd end up buying and purchasing the viewer's First Choice on a regular basis. However, one of the things I remember growing up and watching First Choice, I was going to say Viewer's Choice, but one thing I remember watching First Choice, when we had the free weekend, they'd always show like 4 movies, and they'd show them over and over and over again. And I remember it was always like Weekend at Bernie's, it was Labyrinth, and then it was this movie here. And they played it at nausea. They played this movie, I think, 8, 9 times in the span of a weekend. I bumped my camera there. And they would show this, like I said, about 8, 9 times in the span of a weekend. And I would always try to watch it, but how old I was at the time, I was a little scared of a movie. But I still enjoyed it. I still really enjoyed it. And later on, when I grew up and I got older, I rented this movie on VHS, and boy, did I ever love it. And the fact that they've now actually released it on DVD, I shouldn't say they just released it, because they released this a couple of months ago, but I figured what better time to do this review than to do it during my spooky month of spooky spots. But like I said, they've released it now in a 2-disc 20th anniversary edition. So 20 years ago this came out. And just a quick summary of this movie for those who haven't seen Monster Squad. If you haven't seen Monster Squad, I think you really need to get yourself looked at, because I think there's something seriously wrong with you. But Monster Squad, I would say, is kind of a cross between maybe Van Helsing and Goonies. And back in the 80s, this movie was it. This movie was the bomb. It's basically about Dracula here, and Dracula is resurrected. There is this every so many years, so many thousands of years, there's this point where a portal can be opened, and unless you close it, basically evil can take over, and the 1,000 years, or the period, has come around once again, and Dracula here is bent on trying to open up this portal and trying to basically take over the world, take over, that kind of stuff. And it's up to these kids, these little, almost about the age bracket of Goonies, and they band together. Of course, their parents don't believe them, the whole town doesn't believe them, but basically they unite at the end, and they defeat not only Dracula. Did I just spoil the movie? I don't think I spoiled the movie, but at any rate, they basically have to go head-to-head with Dracula. There's the Wolfman, there's the creature from the Black Lagoon, there's the brides of Dracula, there's Frankenstein. But yeah, the end of the world starts at midnight. Like I said, I love this movie. It's a good example of a movie that, if you compare it to, say, Van Helsing, I went into Van Helsing thinking, okay, this is going to be great. This is going to be like an adult version of Monster Squad, and everything was CG. Everything. And I hate CG movies. Some CG is good, like Lord of the Rings was good CG, King Kong was good CG. Some movies in small dosages, like Spider-Man, when Spider-Man's fighting and stuff, you can have that CG. but there's other things where you just use it for the sake of using it, and Van Helsing was a good example. Everything in Van Helsing, it was just overly CG'd. Monster Squad is a good example of a movie that still has the animatronic puppets. Everything is still makeup effects. I mean, the werewolf is realistic because it's just prosthetics on a actor. Same thing with Frankenstein here. They don't rely on any CG crap. I'm a purist, so if you ask me, you know, the old school animatronics and you know, makeup effects, that's the way it goes for me. But I love this movie, and the fact it's finally out on DVD is so cool. Comes in 2 discs. I'm trying not to make this a very long review, but it comes in 2 discs. Once again, you're as always, it gives you the original poster there. I also forgot to mention the Mummy. Mummy's also in it as well, and there, like I said, there's the original poster. But it comes with the original discs. There's disc 1, which is the main movie, and then there's disc 2, which is all the features. But if you haven't seen Monster Squad, you need to definitely check out. It's a good example of a great 80s movie, and definitely something you want to be checking out at Halloween. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a spooky spot on the Monster Squad 20th Anniversary Edition. Ooh! Check it out. Later.